Well, hello, hello. Welcome.
And please
Okay.
say hi to Teacher Quentin.
Hi, Teacher Quentin.
Hi.
Well, hello, everybody. It's good to see you today.
Yeah,
Um,
let's get started.
we will get started. So, today we actually have something very similar to our last class, but we're going to take it one step further. So, last class we talked about comparatives. So, who can give me a sentence really quick for comparative? A comparative sentence. Something, any sentence you want. How about Zoe? Start us off. What's a sentence using a comparative adjective?
Um, mm, the the pen is longer than an eraser.
Yes, the pen is longer than the eraser. Good. So that's exactly what we were doing, comparing two or more things, but usually two, and saying one is something than another. So larger than, smaller than, bigger than. So that's what we were doing last week. So we're going to take that one step further. But before we do, I almost forgot our question of the day. So, Anna, do you have a question for the class today?
Yes. Which country is your favorite? Why?
Oh, which country is your favorite and why? So, what's your favorite country, Anna?
New Zealand.
New Zealand. Oh, I've heard wonderful things about New Zealand. I want to go there very much.
Because there is no homework in the school.
No homework in school?
Yeah.
Whoa, I didn't know that. I bet
Uh,
you want a one-way plane ticket to New Zealand during the school year. Okay. Well, that's awesome. I didn't know that. Well, thank you, Anna. That was not only was it a question, but what interesting information you gave us today. So how about you, Leo? What country is your favorite?
Um, I like Korea the most
Oh,
because I really like the snow.
oh, your sound at the very end. Maybe we lost you just a bit. Because why do you like Korea? One more time.
Because I really like the snow in the winter of the Korea, and I really like.
Okay. I got the snow during the winter time, but the last part fell off again. So that's very so Korea has snow. No snow in Taiwan. But you could get some snow in Korea. Okay. How about you, Ray? What
Uh,
country is your favorite?
my favorite is Switzerland
Switzerland. Okay. Oh, I bet I might know why. Why do you like Switzerland, Ray?
because this country is very clean and it has Rolex and Roger Federer.
Right. Yes. Well, it is also a very clean country. That is very true. All right. And Zoe, what about you?
my favorite country is Taiwan. Mm,
Yes. I was wondering if anyone was going to pick their home country. I was wondering. So Zoe, you've got a little home country pride there.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Why do you like Taiwan so much?
Um, People there and food there are good.
The people and the food are good in Taiwan. Yes. All right. Okay. And Sandy.
Okay, I think it's Japan. Because it has my favorite annotated characters.
Oh, okay, okay. So you would be able to be in the place where your characters are created.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Well, for me, my favorite country, or at least ones that I really want to go to. So far, my favorite that I've been to has been Peru. I had an amazing time when I went to Peru. So that has been my favorite country I've been to. And the one I look most forward to going to, I think, I'm really looking forward to going to India. And I'm also looking forward to going to Greece. I really like the ancient buildings and statues and just kind of getting a look back in time from thousands of years ago. I think that's awesome. So that's where I would go. Okay, great question of the day, and I really like that one. Good job. Okay, so, as I was saying before, we're going to take our comparatives one step further. And so today, our studies will be about superlatives. So, superlatives take when we're comparing two or more things, and it takes it just one step to the farthest that it can go. And so let's say that we want to say something is the most. So let's say we have three people and one person is 60 centimeters and another person is 80 centimeters and the third person is 100 centimeters. How could I talk about the third person who is 100 centimeters? If I wanted to say this person is, what could I say about them in reference to the other two people? What could I say? Does anyone know? Think of a sentence I could say.
Tallest.
Yes, you got it. You got it. Tallest. So good job, Sandy. Tallest. So we've got tall. All right. So here was our example. Okay. So we've got our 60, 80, and 100. There's a bigger gap here. Sorry about that. These are not drawn to scale. But a bigger, so we have the tallest. Good job, Sandy. Tallest. All right. So then we knew that this one, taller, and the base, tall. Tall, taller, tallest. And so we learned the ER, taller, we learned last class. And so today we're going to focus on the most or the tallest, okay? Superlatives. Okay, so this presentation should look very familiar to the class. And that's because we are able to keep the entire presentation the same and use everything except for the endings. We just have to change the endings of each one. So let's say from our first example, we have a one syllable adjective. We're going to use the word the. If you remember from our comparatives, we said adjective plus than. So smaller than, taller than. When we use a superlative, we're going to say it is the and the adjective. So in these two examples, we have clean, the cleanest, old, the oldest. Okay? And the reason that we say the is because when we use a superlative, that's as far as you can go for that comparison. So if I use our same example here, I could say that I could say that person, let's say A, B, and C. We'll call them person A, B, and C. I could say that person B is taller than person A. I could say person C is taller than person B. But if I talk about person C, they are the tallest. There's only one option to be the tallest. You couldn't be the tallest anywhere else. So that's why we use the. It wouldn't be a tallest, it's the tallest. Because when you're the tallest, that's as far as you can go when we use the superlative. So how about Zoe? Can you read our first sentence?
The living room is the cleanest room in the house.
Mhm. The cleanest. So there are no other rooms in the house more clean than the living room. Okay. How about Ray, our second sentence?
The cathedral is the oldest building.
Okay. So no other building could be older than the cathedral. It is the oldest. Okay. So let's practice with our words down below like we did last time. Okay, how about Leo? Start with young. How would we change that to a superlative?
Youngest.
Yes, and don't forget the youngest. And I only say that because I don't want you to forget the. Because this sentence, if we said the living room is cleanest room in the house, that wouldn't make sense. We always have to have the in front of it. So the youngest. Okay. And for a bonus question, Leo, what was the comparative for young?
Younger than.
Uh, all right, younger than. Okay. So how about Sandy? Can you do smart? And how about we give the comparative and the superlative? Okay? So
Okay.
smart.
Smarter and least smartest.
Yes, okay. And how about Anna? Fast.
The fast.
Yes, I think you were almost there. So the fastest. The fastest.
The fastest.
Okay, good. So we have faster than and the fastest. Okay. And how about we go back to Leo? Slow. Can you do slow for me?
Slower and the slowest.
S- Oh, slow and slowly. Let's think about our rule here to add a the and the est. So what could it be instead?
Um, the slowest
Yeah, the slowest. Slowest.
is
Mm-hmm.
slowest.
So yeah, the slowest. Okay. And Ray, long.
Uh, Longer. The longest.
Okay, good. And you gave both. That's good. You gave the comparative, longer, and then the longest. Great. And Zoe, short.
Shorter than and the shortest.
Okay, good. Good job. All right. So now let's move on to our second rule from the other night. We had one syllable adjectives that had a consonant vowel consonant. So our rule from the other day is that we doubled the end consonant and added an ER. But this time we're going to double the end consonant and add an EST. Okay. So big, the biggest. Hot, the hottest. Double that last letter in the original verb or in the original adjective. Okay, so how about Sandy? Can you read our first sentence?
Taipei is the biggest city in Taiwan.
All right. And how about Anna? Can you do our next sentence? 45.
40.
Degrees.
Degrees is the hardest.
Mhm.
It is the uh,
While.
while.
Yeah, for a while. Good. Good. So that's the hottest. All right. Okay, so how about Leo? How about thin?
Um, the thinnest.
The thinnest. Yes. And how about Sandy? Can we do fat?
The fattest.
Okay. And Ray, sad.
The saddest.
Okay. And Zoe, mad.
The maddest.
All right. And Anna, fit.
The fattest.
All right. Great. Okay, moving on. So one syllable adjectives ending in E. So last time we had ER, we added an R for safer than and larger than. Tonight we have adding an ST. The safest, the largest. Okay, Ray, how about our first sentence?
Uh, Airplanes are the safest way to travel.
Good. And Sandy, our second
Oh,
sentence.
Mexico City is the largest city in North America.
Yes, the largest city in North America. Okay, now let's practice with a few words. All right, so how about Leo? Late.
The latest.
Okay, and Zoe, wide.
The widest.
All right, and how about Ray? Close.
Uh, the closed.
Closest.
Oh, closest.
Yeah, the closest. Okay, and how about we go with Leo for wise?
The wisest.
Okay, and Sandy, strange.
The strangest.
Okay. Yeah, the strangest. Okay. And how about Anna? Nice.
The nicest.
Great. Good. Okay, moving on.
Okay,
Now,
Barry is with Earth, so you can
oh,
call on Barry next time.
okay, great. Thank you for letting me know. I couldn't see the students now. Thank you. Okay. So we have our next rule, two or more syllables. So this is the one for our longer adjectives, the ones that have two or more syllables. Can anyone tell me what our comparative rule was? Can you remember how we made a two or more syllable word a comparative?
More.
Yep, I think I heard it more. More than. So more expensive than, more interesting than. All right, so now what do we have this time? The most expensive and the most interesting. Okay, so Barry, start us off with the first sentence. Welcome. This
This
gold.
gold nowadays is the most expensive item.
Okay, and how about Ray? Could you read the second sentence?
Gymnastics are the most interesting sport.
Great. And the most interesting sport. All right, let's make some other words. Now these ones there, here we go. So Zoe, comfortable. Comfortable.
The most comfortable.
hmm And Leo, boring.
The most boring.
All right. And how about Barry, dangerous?
Most dangerous.
hmm And how about Sandy, delicious?
The most delicious.
Okay. And Anna, honest.
The most honest.
Great. And Zoe, famous.
The most famous.
All right. And we love our Y's. Get rid of those Y's. So last time we took away the Y and added an IER. So what could you guess we'll add this time? IEST. The busiest, the prettiest. Okay, Sandy, start us off. This train.
This train station is the busiest in the city.
Yes. And how about Leo, our second sentence?
This garden is the prettiest I have seen.
Mm-hmm. I've seen. I've seen.
I've seen.
Yep. And you said the full word, but since we have the contraction, I've seen. Mm-hmm. Okay. So who can start us off? How about Barry? Sleepy.
Is
Sleepiest. The sleepiest. Okay. And Anna, angry.
Angriest.
Angriest. Angriest.
Angriest.
Good. All right. Sandy, silly.
The cityest.
Mm-hmm. And Ray, happy.
The happiest.
All right. Leo, lucky.
The luckiest.
All right. And Zoe, easy.
The easiest.
All right. We got it. And now, our last but not least, we have the irregular adjectives. So just a few that we know. Good, bad, and far. So we have good turns to the best, bad, the worst, and far, the furthest or the farthest. Okay. So now how about Ray, the weather?
The weather in Los Angeles is the best in the USA.
Okay. And how about Zoe, the second sentence?
The traffic in Tokyo is the worst in Asia.
Okay. So now our few little other irregular ones just to kind of know about. Of course, well, we're going to turn into best. So it's just like good. Well and good use the same. So for well, we had well, better, best. Just like good, better, best. Okay, so little, we had little, less, and least, the least. So if you have very little of something, you have the least. And when we talk about quantity for many, we have many, more, and the most. The most. So for many, we use the most. Okay? All right. So I think everyone has a pretty good grasp of that. So now what I would like to do is just do a quick practice round. So in the chat, if everyone could open up the worksheet that I have there, Superlatives Practice. If you could open up that worksheet for me. It will look very similar to the worksheet that we did on comparatives. So you will have a sentence with a word in parentheses, and you will turn that word into a superlative to complete the sentence. So the first example, I am the tallest person in my family. So make sure, like in our comparative worksheet, that we add the correct conjugation of to be, because most of these sentences will all say something is or some things are. We want to make sure we use the am, are, is appropriately. Okay? All right, I will let everyone start working on that. In the meantime, for our observers who are present, if you have any questions this evening, feel free to drop them in the chat and I will get to those while our students are working on the worksheet. And I'll give the class about I'll keep an eye, but about 9 or so more minutes. So at 11:05 your time, 11:05, we will come back to do our answers. 11:05. Okay, so the first question was, or is, do you make the grammar presentations yourself, or do you have a source you use to find them? And the answer is it depends on what I'm teaching, but for today's presentation particularly, I did find a template that went through comparatives, and then I updated it a little bit and changed it just because it had some different things on it that I didn't want to present to class. And I also added, for instance, the words at the bottom so that we could practice forming some new comparatives and superlatives. So it just depends. I do think that there are a lot of resources out there and a lot of free resources out there. And so I think it's good to use those, especially for ideas. And then if you need to update them or tweak them to fit your particular topic, then that's always something that you can do. Mhm. Imani, are your lessons primarily grammar focused? In this particular summer session, yes, they have been mostly grammar focused. And I would say usually they do have some type of grammar element to them. But sometimes the focus is more so learning vocabulary too. So, for instance, be in our previous session that we had, it was a session on learning cooking words and cooking verbs and talking about making food. And so the students came up with a recipe and they presented those as their final project for the session if you didn't catch those. So that was one where I would say the lessons primarily focused on vocabulary. And then we just practice using the appropriate sentence structures in order to tell the story of the recipe or to present their recipes to the class. But it didn't really focus on a grammar topic per se. So I think it depends. Hmm. This group, since they're a little bit older and they have a little bit more English background, I chose to be a little more grammar heavy because I thought that they were at a level where that really made sense to focus on some of these grammar topics. Oh, do I ever teach the difference between further and farther? I have not actually before taught the difference between those. So in this class, this is the first time that I've really gone through a whole lesson on the comparatives and superlatives. So I have not taught the difference. So that would be a very interesting one. And this brings up a good point also for our observers. One person asked in a previous session if I was ever nervous about not knowing something or not having the particular grammar rule in my head already. This is a perfect example. So this would be something that I would need to go back and even refresh my mind on the difference between the two and when we use them, because as a native speaker, you just naturally use further or farther, and you may not even know the reason why you do. You just naturally do it. So that's a good question. And no, I haven't, Lauren. So thank you for bringing that up. Oh, a certain percentage. So the question comes from Christina. Do you try to use a certain percentage of teacher talking time versus student talking time? That is a good question. And I think that also depends on the lesson or where I am in the unit. So, for instance, if I'm teaching a brand new concept that the students have never learned before, that one might gear with a little bit more teacher talk time than some other lessons where we're working more so on practicing what we've already learned. And so that then I would try to gear more toward the student talking time. I think also it depends on the type of students that you have and the goals of those students. So, for instance, just speaking with Luke and the way that these classes are structured in Taiwan, a lot of the focus is more a lot on written English and reading English, but not as much practice with the actual spoken. So for our students here, I try to always get them talking during class because I feel like that's something that they don't get to do as often. Whereas it's easy to maybe find worksheets or lessons or material to practice reading or even writing reports to practice writing. They may not get as much practice speaking. So that's I try to gear a little more towards that in these classes with this group of students. But as far as a percentage, I don't have a percentage to really to give you. The less teacher talk time, the better, I think overall, and that's just kind of a general rule. All right, how is everyone doing? I see a few people look like they're still working. Okay, just a couple more minutes. Hmm. Okay. Oh, and just in case anyone was curious, I did just do a quick research on further farther. So they, Lauren, you piqued my interest. I had to find out exactly what that was. But for all of you who don't know, farther for physical distances, further for metaphorical distances. So that might be something that is I would teach to these students. I think that they would understand and grasp it. But then also maybe this is since we have a little bit of a mix of levels that the metaphorical distances might be something that I would have to explain a little bit further. But that's the difference for the observers who may not have also known. Okay, so class, let's return. Okay, how did that work? Did everyone do pretty well with that exercise? Did it go pretty well for everyone? Okay, well, let's find out. Let's see how we did. Okay, so I will share my screen. How about Barry? You kick us off with number two, since we have number one. Number two.
Could you
Oh,
zoom in?
Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system.
yeah, solar system.
Solar system.
Good. There you go.
Could
All
you zoom
right.
zoom in a bit?
Oh, I sure can. Thank you. Okay. How about number three, Zoe?
Elephants are the largest land animal on Earth.
All right, are the largest. Good. And four, Leo.
We bought the most expensive TV in the store.
Okay, the most expensive. All right. And 5. Ray.
Which sports do you think the most dangerous?
Mhm. Are the most dangerous.
Oh,
Mhm. Which sports do you think are the most dangerous? Okay. Now, number 6, Sandy.
My cat is the laziest animal I know.
Yes, laziest, laziest.
Laziest.
hmm All right, number 7, Anna. This restaurant.
This restaurant. Uh, we uh,
So we have, oh, yeah, good, better, the
is not better.
the best. Serves the best.
Best
hmm
food in tw-
Town.
town.
All right, right. Okay, number 8, Zoe.
I think math is the most difficult subject.
All right, Barry, number 9.
Uh, what is the longest word in English that you know?
Okay, good. And how about Leo? Number 10.
He is the strangest man in the story.
He is the strangest man in the story. All right. Number 11, Ray.
last week I had the worst time of my life.
Oh, yes, the worst. All right, 12, Sandy.
Which place is the hottest place on earth?
It's the hottest. Good. And number 13, how about Barry? We'll come back to you.
I think it is the most funniest snow on the television.
Okay, so on this one, I saw I saw, so you said the most funniest. So when we use a superlative, we don't have to combine two different ones. So we use the most when we knew two or more. So funny does have two syllables, so that's a good point. But since you changed it to funniest, by dropping the Y and adding an IEST, then you could say, I think it is the funniest show on television. The funniest. You don't have to put the most. Mhm. The funniest. And so that one is a one of those rules where it's kind of hard to tell because it has a Y, but it is also two syllables. So on this particular one, dropping the Y in an IES, we would just say the funniest. The funniest. Okay. And number 14, Leo. Do we have Leo? I think
Uh,
maybe. Oh, there we go. Okay.
okay. My friend is the most interesting person I know.
Got it. All right. And Zoe, finish us off with number 15.
Who is the most famous person in your country?
All right. Great. There we go. Okay. So great job there. Now, so we have one, learned about comparatives. Two, learned about superlatives. And so now we're going to practice using both of them and when to use each one. Okay? So for this next activity, if everyone could either have a piece of paper that they could write on, or if you want to take notes on your computer, that's fine too. But we're going to watch a video, and when we watch the video, will have some questions, sort of like a quiz, and you will write down your answers. And at the end, we will see how well everyone does. Okay? So let me just make this a little bigger. Okay. So just try to answer each question. There's 10 of them, and then we'll watch the answers at the end. We'll see how you do.
Let's dive into the ocean of adjectives. This is the comparative and superlative challenge. So let's dive in. First, grab a pen or a pencil. Then, write down the numbers from 1 to 10 and write your answers to each and every sentence. Challenge yourself to do it as quickly as possible, and at the end of the video, you can see your score. Let's dive in. Number 1, football is more popular, most popular than basketball. Number 2, this coffee is better, best than the coffee we drank yesterday.
Just to give everyone a few seconds to actually look at the sentence. Okay.
Number 3, the elephant is the largest land animal.
Largest land animal.
Number 4, my best friend is youngest than me.
Youngest than me.
Number 5, this book is more interesting, most interesting than the movie. Number 6, the Nile is the longest river in the world.
Okay.
Number 7, the cheetah is the fastest animal in the world. Eight, the Pacific Ocean is the deepest ocean in the world. Number 9, this tornado was strongest than the previous one. Number 10, this is the more exciting, most exciting thing I've ever done.
Okay, that is question number 10. So, hopefully everyone had a chance to write down or jot down which option that they thought was correct. So now the big reveal. Let's see how everyone did.
And now let's check our answers. Go over each and every sentence and check that you have answered correctly. Feel free to subscribe for more.
Okay, so number 1. Now I'm going to try, let's see if this will work. Are you still able to see the answers when I do this? Hopefully. Okay, so was everyone able to get number 1, more popular? More popular instead of most popular. Okay, and then we have better, largest, younger, more interesting, longest, fastest, deepest, stronger, and most exciting. So just by a raise of hand, who got all 10 correct? All 10. Did anyone get all 10 correct? All right, good job, Zoe, Sandy. Oh, all right. Leo, very good. Okay. And how about everyone else? 9, 8, correct? 9 or 8 correct? That's the most of them. 9 or 8 correct is still doing pretty good. All right. So good job with that exercise class. So that gives us a little preview into what our homework will be. So for homework, before our next class on Tuesday, we have a worksheet, and this one has many different parts. And each part will be a little bit, some of them will concentrate on comparatives, some on superlatives, and then the exercises toward the end will be sort of like this video. Well, you'll have to choose the appropriate word to use, comparative or superlative. Now, those of you who got 100%, while we have just a few more minutes, was there anything that you did to know which version to use? So how did you pick the correct word? What did you look for in the sentence to know that you should use a comparative or a superlative? There's one key word that you'll find with a comparative most times that you don't find with superlatives.
Then.
Yes, Sandy, you got it. Than. So any of those sentences that said than, that had two options and had the word than, that was even if you didn't know what the words meant. So there was one about deep and deepest, or deeper and deepest. Even if you didn't know what those words meant, you could pick the correct option because of if it has that word than. So whenever it says than, that is a clue that you're looking for the comparative version. Okay, so that's one way to know. Now, the next thing I'll ask is, how do you know when you're speaking or writing which to use, a comparative or a superlative? If you're talking about something, how do you know when to use each one? How about Ray? If I said, if I gave you the word bigger, the words bigger and biggest, how would you know when to use bigger in the sentence or biggest? When do you use each one? When do you use a comparative and when do you use a superlative?
Uh, if there are two things, I use bigger. And if there are more than two things, I use biggest.
Yes, and that is a good point. Now, biggest for two or for more than two things, correct, and only use it when it is the most of something. So either in our example where we had three people, even though there were three people, we would only use the superlative ist for either the biggest or the smallest. I can't say the biggest or the smallest. But we would never use a superlative for the one in the middle because it's not either the biggest or longest or the smallest or shortest. It's not the most of something or the least of something. It is, so we only use superlatives when you're on the ends. You're on one of the two extremes. Either it's the most this way or it's the least this way. That's when you use superlative. Anything in the middle, you would use a comparative. Something is bigger than something else or smaller than something else. Okay? All right, class. Well, good job today. Good luck on your homework, working on that, and have a great weekend. Hopefully, you all get out and do something fun this weekend.
Okay, please say thank you, Teacher Quentin.
Thank you.
Thank you, Teacher Quentin.
Quentin.
Have a great weekend.
Have a great weekend. See you. Bye.
See you. Bye bye.